Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today, after a lot of designing and theory crafting, I have finally created 5 emblem builds that I'm looking forward to playing. Now, here's the thing with the emblem system. It's a long time away in terms of actually getting everything we need. So this is really early on theory crafting, and I made one for every single role. So pretty much every single role. You'll see what I mean here in a second, but I theory crafted 5 builds. I designed it out. I made some template files, and let's go ahead and jump into it. This is a lot of work, so please drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment. I would really appreciate it. And then if you've done any theory crafting, if you've looked at all the leaks, maybe let me know some of your builds as well. So let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, so the first build that we're going to be looking at today is the 80 carry build. Now this build consists of 10 badges, as you can see, and I'm not going to go through each one of them because that's going to require me to remember all the Pokemon names, which I don't really, but we have a mixture of 7 of the red badges and 3 of the black badges. So this is going to hit us with the red 7 passive, which is plus 8% attack speed, and then the 3 effect for the 3 badges, or the 3 emblems for the black, which is going to give us 2% CDR. So we're going to get an additional 8% attack speed with 2% CDR, and these particular badges, you can see the stats on them, and I've recreated these, kind of my own template for it. This is going to give us 150 health, 8 attack, 3 SP attack, minus 15 defense, minus 5 defense, and 0 crit and 0 speed. So here's the thing with these stats. So once you start messing around with them, if you haven't messed with them at all, if you haven't looked at any of this, you might be thinking, why does it give you SP attack? Honestly, sometimes there's just not like a better option for things, or you end up having to risk giving away something that you wouldn't want to give away. So this is just the way that I put it together. So yeah. I wanted to just get like a neutral red that was just going to give me SP in this slot. I don't know why I picked this one. Now that I'm thinking about it, there might not have been a better red that I was looking for, or like the other reds would just like steal health from me, and I just figured giving myself 3 SP was probably better than losing something else. But this one could probably be swapped out. You can see the Arcanine, the plus 3 SP. Obviously, this isn't really going to help me on on like a 80 carry, but to reach this passive, it's probably pretty good. And maybe again, I did my best, so maybe there is something we can swap this out for. But the overall sentiment of this one is this is like a Cinderace build, a Greninja build. I'm reaching for that 8% attack speed. I want a little bit of extra cooldown reduction. That would be nice. And then we can bring ourselves some flat health. I look at flat health as a really important stat, so it's really nice. And yeah, this is the 80 carry build. So pretty cool. I think it's pretty simple. Gives a little bit of attack. And yeah, you're going to lose a little bit of defenses, but it's not a big deal. All right, let's move on to the next build. The next build is an all-rounder build. Now this is, with all-rounders, I feel like you can really specialize, but this one, I made it pretty broad. So we are going to hit the white 6 passive, or gray passive, whichever one you want to call it. That's going to be 4% HP. We're going to hit the attack 4, the orange 4 passive, which is going to be 2% attack stat. And then we are going to hit the purple 2 passive, which is 2% SP defense. So with all of these badges you can see that are recreated on the template, it's going to give us an additional 150 HP, plus 2 attack, minus 9 SP attack, which on all rounders is totally fine, minus 25 defense. That's pretty big, but it's, you know, it's defense. The defense stats in this game aren't super crazy high. So minus 25 defense, minus 5 defense, but we're going to start the game with 5% crit chance. So no character in the game starts with crit chance except for like a Azumarill. This build, just for the sake of saying, would not be very good on a Azumarill because you would have to specifically target a little bit different stats for a Azumarill because of crit. But you would be going into the game with crit chance, and nobody does that unless they have a scope lens. So on all-rounders that you might not use a scope lens on at all, you know, like you go into lane with like a Machamp, or maybe you want to go into a crit build from a Machamp, something like that, then you could use this build. So really I was leaning into the attack and HP. You can kind of see I went for the 6 HP passive for 4% additional health, and then the 4 attack passive for 2% additional stats. With the Nidoking and Nidoqueen emblems, they just so happen to give a purple and an orange, so it kind of just plays in perfectly. So this 2% SP defense is honestly just for free. I just get that for free basically, just for using Nidoqueen and Nidoking. And then total it gives me 50 HP and minus 2 attack. So I will say that minus 25 defense is definitely not nothing. So there's, you know, you have to be a little bit wary of that, I suppose, to some degree. Like it is going to be a bit of a weakness, but overall just kind of reaching for some higher stats and then bringing myself the crit chance. That's what I was really going for, was going after a lot of these crit percentage, so crit rate. So interesting stuff. All right, on to the next build. we have the Mage build. The Mage build, SP attackers, we are going to be hitting the 7 passive for cooldown reduction. So that's the 7 black passive, which is 8% cooldown reduction. The 6 green passive, both of these are maxed, by the way, which is really, really cool about this build, which is 4% additional SP attack. And then, again, we just kind of threw these in here based on some of the badges, or the emblems. 2% defense, 2% SP defense, which is pretty nice. Like, again, they really just kind of slide in there. For the stats, it's going to give us 50 HP, 2 attack, pretty, negligible, 3 SP attack, pretty negligible, 10 defense, 0 SP defense, plus 35 flat movement speed, and minus 2% crit rate. Well, on SP attackers, we don't really need crit rate. And with these badges, because of the hybrid badges, you can see the green blacks, the purple black, the blue black, the blue purple, the white, and the green. With these hybrids, it allows us to hit all of these passives. And this system, that's what you're going to be wanting to do. You're going to be trying to get the best stats that you can get as well, but you're really going to be reaching for these passives. So this is very much so a mage build. We have cooldown reduction, we have additional SP attack, and then a couple of defenses to go on top of it. So again, just some random stats in here, but losing 2% crit, that's totally fine because we're throwing this on mages, and I think that this would be a really, really good build. I started theory crafting this one last night on stream a little bit, and then I refined it a little bit more. I was thinking about Delphox the whole time, just the character that I had in mind, but would be really good on any mage in my opinion. All right, moving on, we have the support build. Now this build is doing a lot of the same stuff. It's hitting a lot of passives. We have 8% CDR for the black passive, 2% SP attack for the green passive, the 2 and 2 for SP defense, and defense for the 2% passives, and then we even hit the white 1% HP passive. So with the stats, it's 200 health, 0 attack, minus 3 SP attack, plus 10 defenses, minus 5 SP defense, 0% speed, and minus 2% crit. Well, on supporters, same thing. We don't really need that crit rate. And with the hybrids, we're able to hit some of these passives. So you can already start to see what this system is doing. If the more you put your hands on it, and even just doing something like this where I'm theory crafting it, you'll start to see that the passives, this is what matters. This right here above my webcam, all this stuff up here, this is what you're going for. The stats are small, and they're not completely irrelevant, but they're small. I'd say the only one that truly matters the most is crit percentage whenever you have characters that can crit and you should be using crit on, or HP. HP is a pretty big stat. I mean, additional 200, that's great. That's like half of an item. So this is really, really good build in my opinion. It gives us a little bit extra SP. That's for shielding, doing damage, stuff like that. CDR, same thing. Shielding, doing damage, throwing out your abilities, and then some extra defenses and health. So you can't go wrong with something like that on like an Eldegoss or a Blissey or a Hoopa or something. So it would be really cool. And last but not least is the tank build. This one is really cool. There's a really small thing about it that I want to show y'all. So with the effects, I went for a 6 and 3 effect. So we have the 4% tenacity. Now, if you don't know what tenacity is, it's hindrance resistance. So you're going to be taking less hindrances, right? Like you're not going to get stuck for as long, little things like that. And then we reach for the 6 white passive or the gray passive for 4% HP. So we're raising our HP. The badges that I picked bring us 250 extra HP. So that's a lot of HP on top of the, that's going to tie into the 4%. We have 0 attack, minus 6 SP attack, which is kind of bad for some tanks. For some tanks, it doesn't matter at all. So this is really just a hybrid kind of a tank build. Minus 5 defense, minus 10 defense, plus 35 speed, which is pretty cool, and then 0% crit rate. The cool thing about this one is that you can only have 10 badges, and every single passive that's in the game is either there's no, I'll put it this way, there's no passives in the game that you can get with 1 badge. So I threw the Charmander badge in this one. It's just a random red badge. It doesn't tie into anything. You see I don't have any red stats or anything, but it just goes to throw an extra 50 HP in here. So again, 50 extra HP, that's going to tie into that 4%, and so we have our overall build. So friends, I worked a lot on this one. I made this template image. Obviously, you can still see some of the Japanese that's on it, but I cleaned up this template image. I added my own stats and stuff to it. I recreated the builds, and big shout outs to MathCord for their spreadsheet that they have. That spreadsheet helped me get a lot of the theory crafting work done, and then I did a lot of the designing work. So these are my 5 theory crafted builds, basically one for every role, and they're very generalized. They're not really specific, and I think that you can min-max specific characters a little bit more and just mess around and make things that you want. The reality is that, again, like I said, we are very far away from even having these builds, because I only theory crafted builds with gold emblems. I only theory crafted builds as if I had everything unlocked, and I don't. So having this information early doesn't really do anything for us. I think it's going to take us months before we're able to really build the pages that we want. And most of our pages are going to be kind of like, most of our builds are going to be just like random builds until we get much deeper into the system. So friends, like I said, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know your thoughts. If you've theory crafted any builds, let me know. And yeah, I definitely appreciate you for watching. As always, be sure to be kind to one another. Tell someone you love them, and I'll see you in the next video.